My name is Sita Fredrick, and I am a choreographer, a dancer, and an actress. I sing. I'm a performing artist, basically. This project came out of my interest in my own identity. I'm part Dominican on my father's side, and I'm really interested in history. I always have been. I started with my own family's history, but that led me to really want to understand the history of the island of Dominican Republic and who we are, why we are the way we are. Once I started really looking into the history of the island and understanding the African roots in particular of the island, I wanted to understand more specifics. Our African heritage in the Caribbean is so diverse and rich, and it wasn't enough just to know that it's African. I wanted to understand the details, the textures. I started to understand that there's been this convergence of cultures in the Dominican Republic in the last 100 years because of sugar and the production of sugar in the Dominican Republic. This project is bringing together Gaga and guloya, these two very African-based music dance traditions were something that started to inspire me and something that I wanted to be a part of in some way. And so what we came up with is this project that really explores a few things. One is blackness. The discussions about Dominican identity and who we are and what we are, you know, que somos un sancocho, like all of this dialogue about who we are racially, ethnically. For me, what really holds true when I think about the music and I think about the dancing is to give tribute to the African side of us. And partly because the Spanish side of us has been given so much tribute. We speak Spanish as our language, you know, it's the European, so it's the dominant, what we're going to call dominant culture. But the African traditions are just as strong and just as rich, with maybe a little less respect. The way that they were embraced by Dominican society wasn't always positive or with open arms, just like Dominicans in the United States have not always been embraced with open arms. And I think that we can look back and recognize that somos humanos. Realmente al fin del cuento, somos humanos. And we have to recognize where we have similar experiences and why. So this piece is an exploration of our own identity in terms of color. Skin is a theme that you will see in this project. The color of our skin, the texture of our hair. So part of this project comes from celebrating those aspects of who we are and holding it equal. I'm interested in the equality of all humanity, honestly. What we did today was show another dancer the part that I created for her. We were integrating someone who has a solo. One of the concepts in the piece is this idea of a soloist in community. It's not enough just to have one person on stage dancing by themselves, because this project is about relationships. The big meta idea here is two cultures crossing as immigrant cultures in a new country. A lot of people attribute Gaga to Rara from Haiti. So I'm talking about, you know, two African-based cultures in the Dominican Republic, which would be considered minority groups, regardless, crossing and being in relationship to each other and being in relationship to the larger society. So those are like the big ideas that I am playing with people on stage too, like thinking about, okay, so there's this soloist who comes in with her own home culture, and then there's these people around her that may be from her culture as well, and then she leaves them, and how does that change her, and what is that process like leaving your home? I want to share with our audiences the complexity of not only Dominican identity, but all identity. And the complexity of being an immigrant, of migrating from another place, having no idea really what you would find, but hoping for a better future for yourself, for your family. Those are the stories that call me to choreograph. Those are the stories that call me to make art. Well, the really exciting thing about this project is that we started it with a seed project that was in the street. Gaga and guloya are both what we would call maybe carnivalesque in the sense that they are street-based forms. They are practiced outside, marching in large groups of people through the streets. They are practiced in people's homes as blessings, as sacred ceremonies, and we're bringing it to the concert stage, which is something really, really different. But we're also creating it on dancers that aren't necessarily Dominican. Some of us are, some of us aren't. And I feel like I've really tried to be honest about who we are and where we're coming from as a cast. We are ourselves exploring these forms, and that includes modern dance and contemporary, expressions, projection. It includes a live band. So this project is really trying to take something from somewhere else and make it our own, still paying tribute to what that something else is. I think I'm trying to solve always, for me, is this issue of fusion. Because it's problematic. It raises a lot of questions for people who are the audience sometimes. And I think it's been a struggle in our cast to kind of understand what the purpose of it is. I want to be free to work in my language of dance. And my language of dance includes contemporary choreography, it includes capoeira, it includes folklore, it includes, so there's so many textures that I want to be able to draw upon because that's who I am. The thing with most integrity is to create work that is from all of the dance traditions focused in on a few. The fear is that people won't know what they're seeing. If you're just mixing everything, then how does anyone learn what you're talking about? And I think that's a valid question. So we've really tried to create moments within the piece that it's a folkloric, there's a folkloric dance here. There's a folkloric music moment here, and it might be a 5-minute piece that's just that. My company is not a folklore company. It's a contemporary company that is based in folklore. So I think that's a really important thing to me that often brings up issues for people. And in the community, in the folklore community, not everyone wants to see their things borrowed and changed and turned around, and I understand that, and I'm trying to do that with as much respect and honor and integrity that I can, because I believe that that's where I'm actually coming from. I think our hope is that our joy and our love for these forms will translate for more people knowing about them, more people understanding the layers of migration even within the Dominican Republic. People think of Dominicans as immigrants, and these stories are actually immigrant stories, some of them from the Dominican Republic. In a nutshell, this project is about the surface of who we are on the outside and the depth of what it actually means and how complicated and contradictory we are on the inside. There's something about those contradictions that is calling me to make work. Desmar Guevara is our musical director. We're very excited to have him composing and arranging for us. Alexander Callender is our guest artist as well, and he grew up in San Pedro de Macorís. He grew up in a family that was very close to the guloyas and has just been raised in that tradition. And went to university, studied music, is a master percussionist. He has shared a lot of knowledge with us, including getting back into dance and showing us some of the basic guloya steps and explaining his knowledge of guloya. We're very, very pleased to have him with us. So Young Roots is a series that Hostos has brilliantly commissioned from artists who are really at the intersections of different cultures, who are working with traditional roots music and dance and other manifestations. Hostos has really been open to people exploring what it means to be rooted and to understand where you're coming from. And I'm just really thrilled that Hostos has been able to galvanize the support to allow us to do this work. We are presenting at Hostos Center for Arts and Culture in the Repertory Theater on Friday and Saturday, September 30th, October 1st of 2011. And we're really excited to be sharing this work with you.